guys, it's Alice and today it is time to wrap up the books I read in December. So I spent the majority of December rereading the first 4 Harry Potter books, which I'm sure we're all familiar with, but I'm just gonna show them to you because I read them in the illustrated editions and they are beautiful. So I read Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, and lastly Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. And this one actually came out this year, so this was the first time that I read this in the illustrated edition, and it was so lovely. Like, reading these books are like extra magical in these editions, I feel, and it was just wonderful. I also gave all of these books 5 stars because they're some of my favorite books. After reading all of those though, I moved on to reading something else and I read Strange Planet by Nathan W. Pyle. This is, I guess, a graphic novel or a comic. I don't really know what you would call this kind of thing, but they're all like short comics. And you may recognize this little creature from seeing him around online, and you may follow this phenomenon on Instagram, which is where it comes from. And I just love these comics. They're so cute. And if you don't know, they are about these aliens who live on this strange planet, and it's just about all of the stuff that they get up to. I love this Instagram, and this is kind of just like that account, only in book form, so it's no surprise that I loved this. This is like one of my favorite things on the internet, so I just thought it was amazing. I just thought this was a delight to read, and there's a good mix of like old and new comics in here, and I just loved all of them, and I love these little aliens and just seeing what they get up to, and it's just amazing. I can't really say much more than that. I just really love this, and it's one of the best books that I've read all year, so I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Lastly, I finished The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. This is a historical fiction novel, and it's set in the Russian wilderness, in this village where it's common to sort of pay tribute to the house spirits and the spirits of the forest and stuff like that. And we follow this young girl who is one of the few people who can actually see these spirits and talk to them. But then her father remarries this devoutly Christian woman who forbids everyone from doing any of that, and that has some consequences. I really enjoyed this book, and it might actually be one of the most enjoyable books that I've read all year, just because I felt so engrossed in this book and it was just so magical to read. I loved following our main character in this and seeing the village and the forest through her eyes, and I generally found all of the characters to be interesting, and I really love the folklore and fairy tale aspects of this book, as well as the magical realism. It's a wonderfully written book, and I really like the atmosphere it creates and the way that nature and the seasons are captured. The only slightly negative thing I have to say about this book is that I think that the pacing is a little bit off sometimes, and there are some really slow parts, but otherwise, this was great. I just thought this was really charming and the perfect book to read in winter and just get lost in. And I'm pretty sure this is the first book in a trilogy, and I'm definitely going to read the other 2 books. And I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Very good. Okay guys, those were all of the books that I read in December. I'd love to know what you all have been reading lately, and I will see you soon. Bye!